We'll start today's show. I'm going to tell you about the Oxford Exxon Highway 6 West there in Oxford. Remember, when you head to the pavilion, you can get the Stadium Cup. Keep it, because when you stop by Blue Sky, Oxford Exxon, any Blue Sky in Mississippi, that's a 49-cent fill-up for that Stadium Cup when you're going by. So make sure you quench your thirst with that. Also, the Speed Pass Plus app, mobile rewards program as well. And you know about the lunch specials. It's $4.99 every single day, 2 sides of bread, 32-ounce drink for those lunch specials. Ribs at night, call ahead. Just go in and pick up. Let them take care of you. Again, with the Blue Sky on Highway 6 West. And we're coming to you from the Clark Ford Studio, 662-257-1900 is the phone number. Highway 25 South there in Amory. Give Corey a call. You know by now, 15 minutes in business hours. You get a quote. Shop it around. Take it. It's going to be the best deal. So when you're finishing the paperwork, mention the podcast. Another $500 off there with Clark Ford, courtesy of the podcast, this podcast, any of the MPW digital family of podcasts. Now on with the show.
From the Clark Ford Studio in Oxford, Mississippi, MPW Digital proudly presents the Oxford Exxon Podcast.
I'd say thanks for tuning in, but why am I going to give you a round of applause for something you're supposed to do, to be frank?
And now, here are your hosts, Chase Parham.
And broadcast school has really paid off.
And Neal McCready.
I deserve to be on TV.
Welcome to this Tuesday morning Oxford Exxon podcast. Chase Parham, Neal McCready, Clark Ford Studio. Having to go mobile this morning. I've got an appointment that I can't get out of, but it's okay. We're prepared for that. We promised yesterday Kelly English. I talked to Kelly yesterday afternoon. We'll run that interview here in a little while as we talk a good bit of Saints. We talk Super Bowl party, Super Bowl food, the funeral they put on for the Saints at Second Line on Sunday as well. So a lot of stuff with Kelly coming up here on the podcast in a little bit. You can check out rebelgrove.com. Got an update with Jerry and Ely straight out of his mouth. We're still doing the FedEx House Le Bonheur fundraiser. So if you care to donate for that, we would obviously appreciate it. We have surpassed our goal. We have upped our goal to another number with that. We've got some baseball content from the weekend as far as the intra-squad, some players that stuck out in a positive way from that, and Ole Miss in Florida Wednesday from Gainesville, 5:30 p.m. Central for that start time. We were able to do well this morning because Oxford School District went on a 2-hour delay because of all the inclement weather. I guess the low temperatures. There is really no precipitation, but no, it's one of those days where I'm usually one to complain, and today it kind of worked out though. I sort of needed a little bit of a break, and the Oxford School District provided that.
Yeah, my kids are all thrilled, so I'm not going to be critical. It's one of those deals where earlier in the day yesterday, and snow hater Eddie Rester pointed this out on Twitter. It was pretty obvious that we weren't going to get much precipitation, and whatever precipitation we got was going to be rain that came at a time when the temperatures were still in the 40s, because there was just not going. It just wasn't going to happen, and yet. It's an abundance of caution. And listen, I get it if you're out there listening and the rabbit ears are perking up. I know there are parts of Oxford and parts of Lafayette County where it's very shaded and it's dangerous for buses if the roads were icy at all. And I am not advocating in any shape, form, or fashion ever putting children or parents or anybody else on bad roads to try to get to school when you could delay the start or whatever. I'm fine with it. It's fine. This one seems just kind of crazy because it was so obvious that it wasn't going to be anything. But I get it. It's an abundance of caution. And if it prevents so much as one fender bender, it was worth it. It's fine. I do sometimes wonder when they do this 2-hour thing, what families who have 2 working parents, or if it's a single mom or a single dad or whatever, and that parent has to be at work, and you have kids that aren't driving age. I do wonder sometimes, what do you do? How do you manage this? So hopefully there's, they're cool with people being late. They're not going to hold that against people or whatnot. But it's fine. It's one of those deals where you could sort of see the snow thing not happening. It looks like south of here, like Jackson maybe got really hit hard. I don't know.
Really? Okay, I didn't see that. However, though, the optimistic forecast was still good for the grocery industry. I was talking to a friend of both of ours yesterday, and apparently, still all the milk sandwiches were out at Kroger. It was a full day at the supermarket if you wanted to make sure you got the the essentials, the canned items like bread and milk to make sure you were shut in for a few days.
Here's my thing. If you're going to get stuck, let's say you get iced in for 4 days, which in Mississippi, let's face it, that's probably as bad as it's ever going to get. Agreed?
It's done that a couple times. I mean, we were having this conversation with David Johnson at 24/7 on Sunday morning. We were talking to Cruz that he mentioned that they were out of power in '94 for 24 days. That's an exaggeration these days. I don't think that was going to happen today. So I think we're in a little better shape than that.
And that was a historical event.
Yes, yeah.
So, but on average,
couple days maybe.
I mean, 4 days max.
Yeah, that's about fair.
Is that fair?
Yeah, all good.
How much bread do you need? I mean, when you go to the store we go to the grocery store typically on Sunday, shop for the week, get organized. Kids have lunches. Our kids have always taken their lunch to school, so you got to get organized on Sunday, and so you buy a loaf of bread for the week. Why, when there's a chance, and I do mean a slim chance, that you're going to get iced in for 2 days, do you need 7 loaves of bread and multiple gallons of milk? It's going to spoil. I mean, when you go to the store on Sunday and you buy milk for the week, you typically just buy 1 gallon, right?
That's typical, yeah. I mean, I have to buy 2 different kinds because of the child, but yeah, point stands.
But yeah. I mean, I've never understood it. And then the other thing, and Cecil Hurt pointed this out on Twitter last night, everyone goes and they buy the bread, but they won't buy the buns. If you're that concerned about, Ice-Ageddon, don't you? I mean,
so it's just the loaves. It's not the hamburger buns or any of that stuff.
Yeah, that stuff just still sitting on the shelves in abundance.
If I'd like a wrap or a pita pocket, I'm still in business.
Yeah, or a burger or a hot dog or.
I mean, you can make a turkey sandwich with a hamburger bun. It's been done before.
Is it legal?
You probably got to put a little more turkey on it, I think. I think you'd have to build a little more sustenance up with the protein. But yeah, sure. I think it's doable.
Yeah, there's just a lot interesting to me. If I'm ever running a grocery store, I'm going into cahoots with the National Weather Service.
Ooh, that would be a great conspiracy, wouldn't it?
Just, hey, kind of need a big week.
Got a little quota coming. Can we get a little snow in the forecast?
Yeah, it's winter time.
Can you take one for the team? We'll do some kickbacks.
Yeah.
Here's a grocery card for you.
Yeah, here's a $200 grocery card from Grocery Stores Are Us.
Yeah.
Appreciate the help.
I'm intrigued.
Because I bet Kroger yesterday was a zoo.
That's what I was told. Bad. And this was at 11:30 yesterday morning, something like that.
When it was fairly obvious that nothing was going to happen. Do you get excited when you get podcast notifications that a new podcast is available? Does that pump you up?
I think mine are delayed. I think podcasts are available a lot earlier than I get my notifications on my phone for whatever reason. And I don't know why that is. I'm not sure. Like I subscribe to ours simply to check it and make sure it goes up a lot of days. And I don't get that notification on my phone until 2:30 or 3 in the afternoon a lot of days. Something like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know why. And you're a little more into the, hey, let me catch up on the series as it's going. I'm more of one that if I know there's a series I want to listen to, I'll let it completely finish and then binge it all at once. I don't get into it before it's done.
That's actually smart. But this American Scandal series is so good that I love it, man. It's like it's right down my alley. It was as if someone said, let's study Neal McCready and then make a podcast for him.
When I was in your truck on Sunday morning waiting on the Croots, I saw the Balco episode on your screen in the vehicle.
Yeah, I finished Balco. I'm halfway through Elliot Spitzer. I've done season number 3 already, Iran Contra, because that was the one that was most interesting to me when I first opened it up. And now Exxon Valdez, they just episode 2 of that series, I just got the notification that it's available. And then at the same time, I got a notification that the OKC Dream Team podcast, which I really enjoy, is available as well. So it's like a smorgasbord of podcasts.
You have a great day ahead.
I do. I mean, my day's going to be good because I really don't have.
As you're trapped inside from the weather, you're going to have to just sit and listen to podcasts. It's like the 1950s when they just sat around the radio.
Yeah, I can't get out. There's no way that you could drive in this. So.
Oh, gosh. Well, good enough. Did you have basketball yesterday or no? Anything there?
No, our basketball availability is not until Friday.
Oh.
So.
Because they traveled today.
Yes. I will. They'll travel today. Perfectly honest, I've gone to every SEC road game so far. I'm not going to this one. I'm not going to Gainesville. The game starts early. I will listen to the post-game show on the Ole Miss Radio Network. I will take those quotes. I will intersperse them into the AP story, and if there is reason to write some sort of an analysis or something, I will. But we'll have coverage. It'll be predominantly AP coverage, but I will go get quotes from Kermit and whoever talks to David Kellum and whoever's with David, and I'll add those quotes. It'll be the first SEC road game this year that we did not cover. We went to Starkville, we went to Nashville, and we went to Tuscaloosa.
Right.
Not going to Gainesville. Might go to Auburn. Probably will not go to Columbia. Just letting people know if you're curious how we make these decisions. I will go to Fayetteville because Campbell is going to go visit some friends up there, and she needs to go up there as many times as possible before she actually starts going there. And probably won't go to Missouri unless it's one of those deals where we are all over. The bubble talk is just overwhelming.
And we have a cohort at Missouri that will be helpful, so it's all good.
Yeah, frankly, Gabe will send us what we need.
He can be a Rebel Grove correspondent for the evening if necessary.
Yeah, Missouri plays here before that, and we will be a PowerMizzou.com correspondent for him.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, we got about 8-9 minutes before we go to Kelly. I set that up a little bit in the opening. We talked a lot of stuff. He's still quite hurt from the proceedings the other day. Being a very diehard Saints and Ole Miss fan, I think taking the toll on Kelly at this point. Had a few years where something has kind of popped in every single year, and he thinks there's still a couple years left on this window. I really do not. I think this window is closed. We hinted to this yesterday. If you didn't listen to the very end of the podcast, mentioned a lot of Breeze's regression numbers after that incredibly hot start. Had a lot of really poor passes, frankly, the last couple weeks of the season. Everybody was kind of leaking oil. That defense is probably not going to be an elite defense. And you teased a theory. I've heard just a touch of it. I'll open the floor to you. But it feels like at least the beginning bits of a rebuild coming with the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, and I think there's a transition that they can do. Here are my thoughts. And feel free to tell me that I'm an idiot. I'm cool with that. You know that. I watched a lot of NFL this year with some teams, New England, to some degree New Orleans. Home field mattered a lot. In the playoffs, however, home field did not seem to matter. Philadelphia won in Chicago. New England won in Kansas City. Los Angeles won in New Orleans.
And now I'll stop you real quick as you get going. I think home field really, really mattered for the Saints. They simply didn't take advantage of it. I mean, it got them out to a 13-0 lead that could have easily been 21-0 just because they didn't play well.
But they didn't play well against Philadelphia either, which leads to my theory that is Saints specific. They've got to do whatever they have to do. Look, Drew Brees, I'm not comparing myself to Drew Brees. I'm not in any shape, form, or fashion. He's a superior human being to me. That being said, your body in your 40s does not recover, frankly, as well. It's not really about performance, and I'm not making jokes about sexual stuff. I'm talking real athletic stuff. You go for a run at 30, and you bounce back much faster than you do when you go for a run at 40. You prepare for a marathon, let's say, in your 30s, you recover faster than you do if you're preparing for a marathon in your 40s. That's just life. Brees is 40 years old. He's played a lot of football. I don't think he recovers as well as he used to. And I know he's an elite athlete, and he takes great care of his body and all of that stuff. I get it. I don't care. Father Time is unbeaten. So if I'm the Saints, whether it's and they've done a lot of this Taysom Hill stuff, you can continue to mix him in as this combo quarterback. He adds another element to their offense. It often worked. If I trust Teddy Bridgewater, then I use him. If I don't trust Teddy Bridgewater, I go find somebody else. But I sit Drew Brees sporadically. And even if that means I go 10-6 and make the playoffs as opposed to 14-2 with home field the entire way, I'd rather, if you offer me, and I'm Sean Payton and I'm Mickey Loomis and the people that run the Saints, if you offer me two choices, home field and a tired Drew Brees in January, or we might have to win a road game, but I've got a fresh Drew Brees in January, I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to roll the dice with the fresh, healthy Drew Brees and hope that some winter front doesn't blow through Chicago or something like that. Because, Drew Brees can be effective in Los Angeles. He can be effective if a game were in, I don't even know where else is it even possible. The NFC is not loaded next season. It's just not. If you played in Dallas, for example, the game would be indoors. If you played in Charlotte, odds are the game would be in a fairly warm weather environment. Los Angeles is warm weather. The only potential
Chicago is the problem.
Is Chicago, really. The Bears should be good, and you wouldn't want to play a game in Chicago if it were 11 degrees.
Bears and potentially the Eagles.
Maybe the Eagles. But I'm resting Drew Brees because I know what I saw. I saw tired Drew Brees. He had balls in that Eagles game, and then especially against the Rams. The ball just didn't have life on it. And their offense requires him to occasionally throw deep balls and stuff like that, and I didn't think his deep ball had life on it. And so I'm mixing in some Bridgewater games, and maybe I drop one of them. Maybe I drop two of them, but I'm saving Drew Brees. I'm building in some multiple off weeks. I'm saving his arm. It's kind of like a pitcher. Maybe I'm not going if I've got a if I've got a guy that's still got some juice on his fastball, but he's wearing down in September, I might sacrifice a game or two in April or May to have him ready.
I think from a pragmatic standpoint, it makes all the sense in the world. I completely get it. No way in the world it ever happens.
No, I don't think Peyton will do it.
I don't think any coach would do it. I think that there's the pressure of this is the way it's done, and that's so unorthodox, especially when you are losing games because of it. No way.
I will say this, that Sean Payton does a lot of unorthodox things.
He does.
And the NFL is getting away from, if you look at who's being successful outside of Belichick, I mean, McVay is kind of innovative offensively, and everyone's copying him now.
Yeah, Doug Peterson with Philadelphia.
Yeah, Peterson mixes it up. The Bears mix it up with Trubisky. Those teams are not conventional NFL offensive teams. I just think there's different ways to do it. And look, he's going to be 41 years old. You can't throw. You just can't ask him to go through an entire season and expect him not to get tired. He got tired this year. The numbers back it up, and frankly, Chase, your eyeballs support that.
Yeah,
you know what you saw.
Yeah.
He was not throwing the ball with the same zip in December that he was in October.
So I think they're in more trouble than maybe a lot of other people do. I just think that down the stretch, he's so immune to criticism, which I get, but just didn't look the same. It wasn't that extra X factor that they need to be a perennial Super Bowl team as he continues to regress a little bit.
Here's why I think their window's wide open still.
Yeah.
One reason. Atlanta sucks. Tampa sucks. And
Carolina's average at best.
And no one knows what Cam Newton's health situation is.
So if your division sucks, you're in the tournament, and then who knows?
Yeah, and that's my point. So I'm wanting to get him if I'm the Saints, and I'm with you. I don't think they'll be. I think it's just too. It's such an outrageous thought to rest someone that you're going to make the tournament. I want him healthy in the tournament. I want him fresh in the tournament. Because the tournament, and you saw it this year, the tournament is decided by a play or two here and there. I mean, think of how, not to send you into a depression, but how different the tournament could have been this year. What's-his-face makes a field goal, the Eagles are out. The Bears go to L.A. A call's different, and New Orleans is in the Super Bowl.
Call's different in Kansas City's in.
Dallas had a chance in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Dallas was in that game. Once you get to the tournament, it's why everyone loves the NFL playoffs. The games are typically really competitive.
Yeah. All right, we'll go get Kelly's take on it in 1 second. Before we get to Kelly in a second, let me tell you about Visit Oxford. Visit oxfordms.com/events to see everything going on, including tonight at 5 o'clock, Danny Shapiro at Off Square Books, the Princess Ball, the daddy-daughter date night everybody knows about that's in town. The next 2 nights, 6 to 7:30 at the Powerhouse, so a couple more opportunities to take advantage of that. Got Thacker Mountain Radio at 6 o'clock on Thursday, as we always do, and plenty more. So you see the full calendar of events at visitoxfordms.com/events to find out more. Also, with G&M Pharmacy, been telling you for a while, vote them Oxford's best pharmacy. You can do that at oxfordeagle.com/best of Oxford. Give them a call, too, at 662-236-2222 to transfer your medications. Make it simple. If you're a Fred's customer, you don't have to be stuck with Walgreens. You can head on over to G&M. They make that easy. Also, I want to tell you about their compound creams that we've been talking about for a while. They've got everything from nausea and vomiting, acne, eczema, and other skin conditions, erectile dysfunction, and more. So just give G&M a call. They do a lot of neat things with that. They also make it very, very, very affordable. So again, that's 662-236-2222 to find out more. Also, a podcast brought to you by Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Settle County, and Chattanooga, 30 years old this year. One of the oldest mortgage companies in the Southeast, a leader in condo financing in Oxford, and the flow down option, which allows you to lock in the current rate. But if rates go down before you close, you get the lower rate. You can find Jason at 662-234-2704 or JLo at communitymtg.com. Podcast also brought to you by Mastercuts Lawn and Landscape. You give them a call at 662-607-7773 or shoot them an email at info@gomastercuts.com. Talk about an annual contract where all year long you don't have to worry about it. They take care of your yard, your flower beds, put pine straw in them, landscaping, build structures even, whatever you need. Mastercuts will do it. They've been doing it for me for years. So again, get that free quote. You do that by calling them at 662-607-7773. And it's the last few days or the last day to get no rush ordering at scriptedjewelry.com. Just go to the website, see all the great things they can do for you there at Scripted Jewelry to make a holiday special for that special someone. You can still get rush ordering through February 6th, but if you do it today, Scripted Jewelry, you get Valentine's stuff in time without having to pay anything more. Items handcrafted to order. Again, they'll even tell you what's recently been purchased, give you some ideas. Put your script, put your John Hancock, put a special note on that special something for someone in your life. Turnaround times are great. You get sizing guides and much more. So go to scriptedjewelry.com. Now here is Kelly English on the Oxford Exxon podcast. Kelly, good afternoon at this point. We are recording this Monday because I forgot about a doctor's appointment for my kids, so schedule gets moved around a little bit, but all of you guys are hearing it on Tuesday as we are recording right now, a day after the Saints funeral that you put up. And you and I text a little bit through this playoff run, and I don't know that we talked after the game. I've obviously discussed what I saw, what I was feeling. You were hanging out with your patrons. You're at work, if you will. What's the Kelly English few minutes like as you're watching all that unfold during the NFC Championship game?
Well, good afternoon to you too. If anyone's ever seen me watch an Ole Miss game, it's very similar. I feel like my body movements can affect the game. I am way too emotionally invested in both Ole Miss sports and the New Orleans Saints and the Grizzlies up here. But It was hard, man. In the funeral, I got just a little sprinkle of booze because I mentioned that I was an Ole Miss fan, and not everybody is. But my reference point was like, as an Ole Miss fan, I've experienced plenty of controversial calls or calls that were 50-50 that didn't go our way, or we can't even really explain how these calls stuck. But I've never seen anything like that non-call of pass interference. Have you? Have you ever seen anything like that on any level of organized sports?
No, and I was more stunned. I'll be honest. I don't know why. I think maybe because of the disbelief. Just for like inside heart of hearts, this didn't hurt me as bad as the Minnesota thing did last year, and that is ludicrous. It should have hurt me twice as bad, and it just didn't.
You know, so I'm not mad at the Rams, right? I'm not mad at the Saints.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, when it was through our own fault against Minnesota. We got lax on a tackle. We tried to head tackle somebody on their body, and he ran for a touchdown. This was completely inexplicable. Like, on the very basic, if you didn't even know about football, if you watched that game, you've never seen a football game before, you could say that was cheating. Like, they cheated, and referees saw it, and they didn't tell anybody that they cheated. And it's not that big a deal, but it was their job to say you cheated and you can't do that. So you get a first down now. Like, and there are plenty of people that can also say there were a lot of decisions made in the game. The Saints could have done this differently and this differently, and they should have won that game. I don't disagree with that, but through any game you watch, there are different things that happen throughout the game. And the fact of the matter is, if the officials just do the bare minimum of their job, they're called one of the 3 fouls that happened on that play, then we're in the Super Bowl. And we coached well enough, we played well enough to win that game, and we won the game. But for inaction by the officials, and I get that they're human, but my God, like, my 3-year-old goddaughter could have made that call. It hurts, man.
Does it bug you that 4 of the officials are from the LA area?
All of it bugs me. As a small business owner, I cannot believe that Roger Goodell has not said a word. Like, one of the most impactful things I can do as a leader of my own small business is when I make a mistake, is to gather my team together in front of them and say, I made a mistake. Hell, as a restaurateur, I got to deal with Yelp reviews. I have to deal with customers that sometimes are rightfully upset, and sometimes they just misunderstand things, and I've got to deal, like, I have to answer publicly to those things. And I just own a restaurant. Uh-huh. Like, my God, Roger Goodell, say you made a mistake. Just say it.
No,
his legacy is going to be suspending Sean Payton for a season because he was CC'd on an email, and this.
You're right. No, there's no doubt about it. So, where'd the idea come from? When did you get the epiphany? Kind of take me through the planning process for this wildly successful event you held yesterday.
So we ended up having like 250 people. 200 people. I'll go with 200. A buddy of mine who's a Mississippi State fan. He's actually the guy that keeps sending me cowbells via Amazon Prime.
That's a thing?
Is the guy. That's the same. Well, that was the guy who when we were talking, we said we need to do a funeral. His name's Ben Fant. He's a really nice guy, except when he's talking about Mississippi State football, and then he's the most obnoxious human on the planet. Anyway, we were talking, and we decided that we should do some kind of funeral. And then I talked to another buddy of mine in New Orleans who's a lawyer, and he said you should have a ref on hand for victim impact statements. So it's kind of a three-headed monster of an idea there. And we decided to do it. And we had a local memorial funeral home call us and offer to come out with a hearse and to put out a guest book and to bring a pulpit and flowers. And we got a brass band to come to do a second line. We let people read victim impact statements to my manager, who we dressed as a referee. And it got really heated. Like, I wondered for a little bit what it's like to be booed as hard as he was booed by people and it not really be him. Like, that's a weird moment to have. Anyway, it went on for about 20 minutes. I feel like we got some closure. I feel like some people got to get some anger out. We broke some laws because we didn't have a permit to have a parade. So, but we stopped traffic. We had a parade. We had a brass band. We made black and gold coffin that we carried around with us, and it was a hell of a day.
Was there anything in the coffin?
Our souls and hearts.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Mostly.
What was the what were the drink specials during this event?
We did some of our when the levee breaks, smaller versions of them in plastic cups, and we had some specials on highballs. But people came sober. They stayed sober for the funeral, so they could really get the most out of it, and they stuck around and had a good time after.
So we had kind of a post-wake
really
too,
fun,
frankly. I mean, we had the dinner and everything as well.
Yep.
Okay.
This is true.
So did you get in trouble by the city for the parade?
Not yet. Unless they issue citations after the fact, I think I'm in the clear. No one was hurt. No one was. In fact, the traffic that we stopped, nobody seemed to mind. They knew what we were doing, and they were laughing about it.
That takes a lot of that. That's a good luck charm just in and of itself. Because I mean, you could run into the right person that you get really pissed right there when you're blocking traffic.
Sure. No, sometimes I get irrationally upset when I'm in traffic. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I get it, and there could be a very good person that could get overly upset about having to stay in traffic. I understand that.
Did we get Saints garb? Did people dress up in funeral clothes? What was the attire for this thing yesterday, for the most part?
Lots of Saints jerseys. It's going to be the last time this year people can wear their Saints jersey. Romero Miller was there. He wore, I think he was wearing a Camaro jersey? I can't remember what he was wearing. Because I had to officiate, I wore a suit. Otherwise, I would have been in my Deuce jersey. There was a lot of black and gold. I'm telling you, man, it was hilarious. It was exactly as ridiculous as the call was to not be made to end the season that way with a funeral for a franchise. It was just absurd.
What'd you say at the pulpit?
I cussed twice. I kind of made sure, people were upset, so they got up to give their victim impact statements, and they kind of started to ramble. So I would hook them off the stage when it was time for them to come off. I just talked about being a Saints fan my whole life and how much they meant to me, as someone who grew up there, has suffered with them through Aaron Brooks and the close calls of Bobby Hebert and having Jim Everett there. And like the moment of my life, my sports life, outside of the Saints winning the Super Bowl and when Ole Miss wins the national championship, is when Deuce McAllister got drafted by the New Orleans Saints. I remember where I was sitting when that happened. And like the Saints mean as much to me as any sports franchise could mean to somebody.
So obviously, a lot of people called you about this. I mean, you're doing this here podcast, all these different things. Did it blow up more than you thought? I mean, when you got this crazy idea, what was your expectation? What did you actually expect for to happen here? Yesterday morning, I thought I was either going to be one of 10 people here, or you weren't going to be able to move on the inside, and you couldn't move. So I had my expectations pretty low and pretty high, and it was really fun. Have you watched the video of it? I have watched parts of it. Yes.
It was kind of fun to lead what amounted to be kind of a church congregation, a rowdy church congregation. It was fun to yell hoot at and have everybody yell it back to you.
We take a break from our interview with Kelly English to tell you that this podcast is also brought to you by Oxford University Bank, OUB, locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money at OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into the Oxford community. OUB is they have a commercial checking account right now, pays 1% interest as long as you keep $10,000 in the account. Comes with fully interactive online banking. They can also set up any local business to deposit checks from their office and not have to worry about coming to the bank daily to deposit those checks. To learn more about OUB, to learn more about their commercial checking account, go to liveoxfordbankoxford.com or call 662-234-6668. OUB is FDIC insured. Podcast also brought to you by Harry Alexander. Harry is an Oxford-based RE/MAX legacy realty agent. He's been in Oxford more than 4 decades. No one knows the residential and condo market better than he does. Go to his site, harryalexander.com, and then send him an email, ha@harryalexander.com. Also brought to you by Grenada Nissan. Grenada Nissan located just off I-55 in Grenada, Mississippi. They have a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles. Great lease deals as well. I've been using Grenada Nissan for more than a decade. You should give them a shot too if you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com. Also brought to you by John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. If you've been thinking about that golf trip with the fellas or an anniversary trip she'll never forget, playing at St. Andrews, sitting at a cafe in Paris, whatever it may be, get in touch with John. He's part of Virtuoso. It's a worldwide network of travel partners that allows John to supply his clients with added values and unique benefits that are simply not available to other travelers. He's what you do is just give him a call, give him some parameters, give him a time frame, how long you want to go, where do you want to go, what do you want to do, what are you trying to get out of a vacation, give him a budget, and he'll give you options that you'd never find on your own. And you don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of his services. Call John at 901-494-3387 or send him an email, jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast. And we're brought to you by the Westin Jackson. Restore serenity to your soul. Visit Soul Spas, the ultimate luxury spa experience in downtown Jackson. Indulge in personalized massages, signature facials, soothing body treatments, and much more on their extensive spa list. Escape from the everyday and rejuvenate yourself in their luxury spa today. Now back to Kelly English.
Are you going to watch Super Bowl on Sunday?
No.
You want it all?
No. I'm not interested in a fraudulent championship game. No offense to the Rams. Really, honestly. That's on the NFL. But, no, yeah, I've got no interest.
I mean, it's going to be owned at your establishment, though.
No, we'll be closed.
Oh.
Have you ever been to a bar for a Super Bowl? Have you ever done it?
No.
Guess because nobody goes to bars for the Super Bowl. Everybody goes to somebody's house.
I haven't thought about that. Really? I mean, I guess so.
If I was in New Orleans and it was a Super Bowl and I was in a part of town where people may be and gather, then I might be open. But no, we've never opened any of our restaurants on Super Bowl Sunday.
See, I think this is, and I talked about this on the show a few weeks ago because I'd gotten invited to a Super Bowl party and I was trying to figure out whether to go if the Saints were in it or not in it. I think the way it ends, now I can just go and just not even focus on the game at all. I just won't pay attention to it. I just
for sure.
I just get drunk and have some Rotel and going about my night.
You know, well, it's kind of similar. It was interesting for me this year, and I don't know, I'm sure a lot of the listeners, I don't know if you felt this way. What was interesting to me about the Ole Miss season, with us being under a bowl ban and it not be, new the first time we were the year before we were under a bowl ban, was to watch an entire season of SEC football and appreciate the games and not have like, I hope Arkansas wins because mathematically it would help us do this. Like there was none of that this year. And so when two teams played each other, I could just sit back and kind of enjoy the game. And it was kind of enjoyable to be able to do that. Did you ever think about that?
I had that with the Saints for the first 7 weeks because I was so hurt by the Minnesota thing that I told Neil, I said, look, I'm not going to care about this season until they get into the playoffs. I just can't drum up the enthusiasm for the early weeks. They lose to Tampa Bay in that really ugly game in the opener. They barely beat Cleveland. And for 5 or 6 weeks, even though while they were winning, I just sort of turned it on and watched football. I like Kamara. I like Breeze. I'm just kind of watching the game, Sheldon Rankins and all this stuff. And it took an unbelievable regular season like that to really get me back in. And I'll be honest, Kelly, it's worrying me for the future. Because now when you 4th and 25 me like that 2 years in a row, I don't know what next season is going to be like. I just don't know what I'm going to be. I don't know what it's going to take to get me back at this full immersion with the Saints that I've been in for most of my life. I'm hurt right now.
I understand that. I understand. Let me ask you this. You and I are the same. The Ole Miss Saints combo, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. 4th and 25. Minnesota Miracle. This stupid stuff against the Rams. Bryce Drew. Who else? What else? What else is on the list?
And Eli falling down because someone stepped on his foot.
Getting stepped on, exactly.
The Groza Award kicker missing 2 field goals.
Is there a more challenging combo? Is my question.
I mean, I'm sure Cleveland fans feel that way. Bills fans feel that way.
Hey, whatever.
Well, the Bills have lost 4 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you got to get in 4 Super Bowls, so it's a little counterproductive, but still.
I'm just tired. I'm tired of character building, Chase. I'm tired of it. And I know the Saints have won one. I get that. That was awesome. But I'm tired of building character.
No, see though, that's why it hurts.
I would like for the cards not to be stacked against us.
See, that's why it hurts, because I think they could have won one more game and won 2. And that completely, I mean, it's the era is already justified because they won 1. But 2 changes the stratosphere. And here's the little secret that other podcast listeners are hearing, because Neil and I have already taped this part, even though we haven't taped it when you and I are talking. I think the window's closed. I'm worried that this was the last chance. This was it.
Romero and I talked about this yesterday. I think we have one. I think at least next year and maybe another one. Drew's arm, he's lost probably 5 yards on his throws. And I don't think he's necessarily realized it yet, a la the first interception against Philadelphia. But when he was in his prime, man, he could hit someone streaking down the sideline at 50 yards, and all they'd have to do is turn their hands up. It was amazing what he can do, and he can still do some of that. But I think he's lost about 5 yards.
Neil says that I can't criticize Breeze. Do what?
Who do we lose next year? Who do we lose next year? I don't think we really lose anybody major.
No, not really. Everybody's under contract for next year. It's fine.
Right.
You don't have to pay Kamara yet. You're all good. But Neil tells me I can't criticize. Yeah, you might lose Ingram. You know, Neil tells me I can't criticize Breeze no matter what. But he was low key bad that day. He was bad. Most of the day he was bad.
You know, we've gotten to a place though where he doesn't have to be great. We have a great defense. We have an incredible running game, and for so long in his career, it was kind of like Bo Wallace. Like I never really. I know that play against LSU at the end was asinine, but
yeah,
sure. Bo Wallace, when he was our quarterback, he had to put the team on his shoulders and he had to take some risks. And I think that for a long time, Drew Brees was the same way. So I think him stepping back and not having to be in your face throwing the ball can translate a little bit to maybe he hasn't been playing as well. But, I think that when the game is on the line, I still want Drew Brees with the ball in his hand.
Yeah, fair enough.
There's no referees on the field, I guess.
Of course. Do's or don'ts, Super Bowl, food, what have you liked over the years? What do you not like? Give me a little idea for what you would do if you're invited to one.
Don't get too fancy. Like everybody tries to get too fancy.
What's an option of too fancy? What are you talking about?
Like you want to try something new. Like the Super Bowl is not something to try something new. Nobody's left. Have you ever left a Super Bowl party and said, "My God, I mean, the game was great, but the food was fantastic"? No, that's not what happens. Make your 7-layer dip. Put the olives on it just like you normally do it. Don't try. Now is not the time to try something new. People want to talk about the commercials. They want to watch the game. They want to get a little tipsy, and they want to eat 7-layer dip. And I think that the Super Bowl is not time to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, ribs, chicken fingers, dips, rotel. Just play the favorites.
Get my hands dirty. Let me lick my fingers and let me watch the game. That's really what I want on the Super Bowl. Except this year, with which I will not be watching the game.
Alcohol-wise, what do you need to stock in the bar for Super Bowl?
The only way to answer that question is yes.
Everything?
I would say yes.
Beer, wine, spirits.
I think you never know what people are going to want when they're coming over to your house. I think it's always nice to bring something if you're going to somebody's house. But I think people are so varied in what they want. I am psychotically hospitable, so I try to keep one type of liquor of everything on hand at my house in case somebody might want something. But yeah, I think that you can probably, unless your team is playing, unless you're a Rams fan or a Patriots fan, you can probably mix the champagne. But other than that, I would go for a variety of things over going all in on one thing. Unless you're going to have like some theme to your party that's not Super Bowl and you want to make a punch or whatever it might be. But I think that it's better to be hospitable and have everyone would want to have over trying to like guide people where you want them to go.
Yeah, this kind of just hit me, but I was thinking that you referenced that as well. A pre-made mix thing of some sort might not be the worst idea. Some sort of punch, some sort of pre-made cocktail in a big gallon jug.
You know, a really well-made hurricane, which is really what we have a drink called When the Levee Breaks. It's a really well-made hurricane. That would be a nice punch for a party. You know, here at Iris we do punch service. We have a rum, a bourbon, and a gin punch at all times. It serves 4 to 6, and it's really fun when people get the little punch cups and they get the ladle and the big bowl on the table. They have a good time with it.
So you mentioned Irish. You're into your redesign a little bit now. I've had the food. It was fantastic. How's things been going since you reopened?
They've been great, man. It's a totally different animal than we had before. It's exactly what I want it to be 10 years in. And you know, sometimes when something isn't broken, you should just break it. We can find plenty of examples in our daily lives of letting things go on too long or not changing something just because it's working. And you know, we're not the same restaurant we were 10 years ago. It's not the same people, and we wanted to make this change, and we're really proud of it.
There had to be some nights, though, where you went, what the hell am I doing? I'm taking the Brussels sprouts and the lobster knuckle sandwiches and all this stuff. And you just said play the favorites at the Super Bowl. You were not serving any of the favorites all of a sudden at Iris.
Okay. So I'm a slight hypocrite. I understand that.
Okay. It's okay. It's not the same. We're not comparing Iris to the Super Bowl party, but I do understand what you mean. I get it. Yeah. No, you know, we cooked those things for 10 years and a lot of those things, you can get versions of it at other places, or you know, or when we first had that Brussels sprout dish on the menu, there really wasn't many people in town eating Brussels sprouts yet. I'm not taking credit for Brussels sprouts, people eating them, but that trend of Brussels sprouts had not hit yet. Yeah.
And it just happened to be. I'm not saying that I'm a soothsayer and can tell when the next trends are coming or anything like that. But you know, that the Brussels sprouts have been done enough.
Do you know yet what will be the kind of those traditional items on this menu, or does that come with time and people and they have to tell you?
I think we'll know in about a year. I think it takes just a little bit of life in a restaurant to really tell those things. And to be fair, you know, I kind of look at like it's like dating. Like we're dating our guests, and we're going to take some things away, and they're going to give us some feedback, and we'll put those things back on. And just like when you're getting to know somebody for the first time, you know, you've got to tell each other, you know, what you like and what you don't like, and it's been fun to kind of be new again and do that.
I know it's fraudulent, but if you have to pick one, do you want the Rams or the Patriots to win on Sunday?
I really, it does not matter to me. I will go with the Rams. How about that? I'll go with the Rams because we beat the Rams
twice.
We just weren't given the W.
Twice. Just saying.
We beat them twice.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. I appreciate it, bud. We'll talk soon.
I'm in.
Our thanks to Kelly English for joining us today. We should tell you the Ole Miss men's basketball team returns to the Pavilion on Saturday, February the 2nd, as they take on Mississippi State. You won't want to miss the second running of the Baby Dega 500 at halftime. Standing room only tickets remain and can be purchased at the Pavilion ticket office on game day. For more information, visit OleMissSports.com. Ole Miss baseball season still right around the corner. Season tickets start at just $150 for the number 13 preseason ranked Diamond Rebels. To purchase, visit OleMissTix.com. The Ole Miss women's hoops team back in the Pavilion on Thursday. They take on the Auburn Tigers at 7 p.m. For more info, visit OleMissSports.com. And the Ole Miss women's tennis team back at the William Galtney Indoor Center on Sunday, February the 3rd, as they take on Tulane at noon. For more information, visit OleMissSports.com. Guests join us on the Patterson and Earhart hotline. Patterson and Earhart, attorneys at law, specialize in personal injury law and real estate law, but theirs is a general practice that can handle any of your legal needs. When you contact Patterson and Earhart, you speak to one of the partners in the firm, and that's who will handle your case, not some paralegal at a faceless corporate firm. If Patterson and Earhart can't help you, they'll refer you to someone who can. John Calvin Patterson and Wes Earhart are Ole Miss guys. They're local guys, and when you call them, you're going to get one of them on the phone within the same day, guaranteed. So whether you've been injured in a car wreck or have other legal issues, give them a call at 662-526-1992 or check out their website, pelaws.com. Your initial consultation is free. Tonight, January the 29th, tonight, Pinnacle Trust will be hosting their annual economic forecast in Jackson at the Country Club of Jackson. Doors open at 5. Join the Pinnacle team for cocktails and appetizers. The program begins at 6. It'll end promptly at 7. Goldman Sachs economist John Tousley will be highlighting the current state of global economy and financial markets. The Pinnacle investment team will cover topics ranging from geopolitical risk to tariffs negotiations and the impact on markets and the Federal Reserve. For those unable to attend, the event will be recorded and made available on the Pinnacle Trust website, pintrust.com. That's PINN trust.com. For reservations, email assistant@pintrust.com or call the office at 601-957-0323.
Oh, I appreciate Kelly giving a little time there. Wasn't depressing at all to hear about everything, but he made a neat thing out of it. So anyway, you did not hear it. It was just he and I on the interview. We wrapped up there at the end talking about Iris and how he completely changed the menu after 10 years, remodeled and everything else. And I told him, I said, you must have had nights where you didn't sleep at all thinking, I'm taking every favorite off the menu, everything everybody's known for 10 years, and blowing it all up. I'll be honest, while everything was kind of rolling, I would have a hard time breaking what's not broken.
Yeah, that's the restaurant business is fascinating because most restaurants don't make it. The failure rate is super high. You're absolutely hostage to the quality of help that you can hire. You're kind of have to be at your best every day because you never know when someone's coming in for the first time and the power of first impression and all of those things. And keeping things fresh and yet sticking with what works. I mean, those are hard decisions to make.
He and I didn't really discuss this much, but January in general, I bet, is ridiculous. You've got everybody coming off of the holidays, the spending money, all that stuff, all the gluttony. You've got New Year's resolutions. You've got dieting. I bet the first month of the year is terrible for the restaurant business.
Yeah. Well, people are paying off credit cards.
Yeah.
I mean, people aren't going out. It's cold. I mean, you have days like this where there's ice everywhere. I mean, you can't get out in this to go to a restaurant. I mean, you got to listen. That business, you got to be smart. Any business, you got to be smart. I mean, if you're in retail, you maximize the end of the year, and you know that the first of the year is going to hurt a little. You got to be a planner in that business. You can't fly by the seat of your pants day in and day out and expect to really make it unless you're, if you're the guy that's been running a mom and pop barbecue or country fixins sort of a place where you've got a very consistent clientele that has been coming to your place for 40, 50 years. Well, every day's the same. It's Groundhog Day. And as long as your product is good, you don't have to really worry about fall off and stuff like that. But if you're in more traditional business, yeah, you've got to have a plan. And you've got to, when you're someone like Kelly and when coming to your place is a treat, man, you've got to be at your A game all the time.
Every customer, every night.
Yeah, because
it takes one Yelp review to blow up on you.
That's it.
It's fascinating. I know it's not your thing as much as you kind of like true stuff. I'm assuming you have no interest in this Netflix Ted Bundy conversation tapes thing.
No, I actually do.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, but I got to make sure that I'm in the right frame of mind when I dive into it.
Okay.
Because I mean, at the risk of sounding like a complete baby, stuff like that keeps me up at night, and it makes me think about stuff, and I gotta be. Look, there is something to be said for being self-aware. What triggers you to go down certain roads, and so I gotta be in the right frame of mind when I dive into that. And frankly, I need to dive into it on a day when maybe I can do it in the afternoon, and then there's going to be a game that I'm interested in that night that will push that a little further back in my head before I hit the pillow. Does that make sense?
No, it's all good. I mean, I'm fascinated by the psychology of it. I mean, we made this joke forever. I mean, I'm a little obsessed with just serial killers in general. I mean, to the point of I might have missed my calling in some way. I might have been some sort of psychologist or something. But yes, life is hard enough. So if there's something that's going to throw your day off, and you know that something part of that's going to stick with you, yeah, you've got to figure out the right time to do that, or frankly, the cost benefit of doing it at all. I completely understand that. There's movies that I stay away from different topics. It's usually not horror or anything along those lines, but there are emotional cues that I know, hey, today's not the day for that. Let's not do that. Let's do something else. Let's rewatch Seinfeld or The Office or something along those lines and just call it a day. So I get with you. I have not jumped into it yet. I still plan on it. This is probably kind of a weird statement. I'm curious if there's things I will learn or if it's going to be a lot of rehash considering everything I've read on the subject over the years.
Yeah, because you're so versed in that it's kind of like me and the Kennedy assassination. It's got to be something really fresh. It's got to be something new and different, or else it's just more of the same stuff that you've heard. But
I did not watch the second season of Making a Murderer or whatever, the Stephen Avery thing. I thought the first season was good, but since I already knew the answer and knew what had happened up to real time, I didn't even dive into the second season at all. Just stayed away from it.
Never watched that.
First season was good. It was very, very good. But then once that was over, it was kind of like, well, I know where they are. I know what happened. Okay.
Sometimes the really dark things just trigger me in a way that I don't do as well. It's like there's some things that trigger me in a really emotional way, and if I know I don't have, I mean, I'm letting people in way too much right now.
It's all good.
But if I know I don't have 10, 15 minutes at some point that day to sort of vent it, I don't go there. And if I know that I'm going to have 10, 15 minutes in a day to sort of let that out, then okay, I might. If I know something's going to trigger me, I'll still do it if it's something I want to consume. But I'm just kind of careful about it, and I'm like you. I keep The Office and Parks and Rec. I keep that stuff downloaded. I do,
ready to go whenever I need it.
If I'm in a kind of getting a really down mood or something, or something sort of triggers, some just feeling or whatnot, I have that ability to. All right, let's hit up season 7 of The Office for a couple of 40 minutes. And I'll watch a couple episodes of ridiculous.
Okay, see, that's where I was going to ask you. Is it chronological? Is it certain episodes? How do you go about finding those healers?
I can go random, man.
Okay.
That show's so good that
you could just spin the wheel and let it fall where it falls.
The only part of The Office that I don't particularly care to go back and watch all the time. I don't know why, because they end up together. But the episodes when I mean, spoiler alert.
Yeah, all right. I'm probably the only human that did not finish The Office, so go ahead. You're fine.
When there are episodes when Jim and Pam are not together, and they should be, and it's very clear that they both want to be, but they can't. And look, I realize that's part of the show. Those episodes for me don't do a whole lot to cheer me up. I kind of catch
Episode
myself.
1, everyone gets together. The end. Man,
Right. I mean, it's all, yeah. I mean, it all works out at the end. And the end of, like, I'll be honest, Campbell and I, my daughter, have talked about this several times. If we watch The Office chronologically and watch the end, there's some waterworks, man. There's some onions in that room. That's
really,
and I think that tells you the success of that show is that, you attach yourself sentimentally to so many of the different characters that when the show ends, you want to know, okay, are they going to be okay? And that's stupid when you think about it in real life, because it appears that John Krasinski is going to be just fine. It appears that life is working out for him. But you just kind of want to know that Jim and Pam are okay, and that it's all going to be all right, and that Dwight figured it out, and that he's going to be okay, and that show's kind of like that for me.
And some of that speaks to just the fact that it was good throughout its run. It didn't have that multi-season lull of you going, oh my God, this sucks. Like this is taking a turn, because that was sort of where I was. Now this is nowhere near as critically acclaimed. It's not going to be, but like How I Met Your Mother was one of my favorite sitcoms, and it was fantastic through 3 seasons. And then it fell off so much that you still kind of cared about the characters, but there was no longer that kind of relating to one of them, the part of your life I was in or anything like that. It was, I'm finishing this out of obligation, and at the end, I'm mostly doing this to see how it ends, but I couldn't care less what happens because the show has fallen off to this point. The Office didn't really have that.
No, they had a little weird period there with Will Ferrell.
Yeah, you're right. And then when Carell leaves and all that stuff. But yeah.
Yeah. But they even made that funny. I mean, it was stupid, but you were okay with stupid. And
well, you've got to be okay with stupid the whole time. But
yeah, I mean, and then they got away from it and got back into a different storyline that made sense, and they focused on the characters that the people were invested in. I mean, people were invested in Dwight and Angela and then Jim and Pam and Andy, and you know what I mean? I mean, you were invested in those people. So when they got back to them, they got back to a storyline, and it was time to end it. You could tell they were running out of things to do, but I thought that was brilliant, that whole deal. Parks and Rec was that way. I love Parks and Rec.
Never started it.
It's not as good, in my opinion. It's not as good as The Office, but it's a solid meat and potatoes sitcom that has some quality writing, and the acting is good, and you get invested in some of the characters.
I noticed,
which is really all you want, right? You just want something to entertain you. It doesn't have to be. I don't have to walk away from every episode of every show that I watch going, oh, that was brilliant.
It's like movies. Take them for what they are.
Yeah. If I go to a movie and I spend 2 hours, was I entertained? Okay, good. Now, if I was moved or whatever, then great. But just entertain me. I can go watch 2 hours of complete unrealistic BS and be fine.
And that's like on the opposite side of this. I get that it was an Oscar movie a couple years ago, but we just watched that 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri this week, and a lot of that was because going in, you knew it's kind of an emotional movie, and it was made and built for critical acclaim. It was not going to be that, hey, I'm really going to enjoy this and laugh for 2 hours. It was, for the most part, it's going to kick the hell out of you for 2 hours. And it took probably a year for me to finally hit the play button. Did it a couple nights ago because I just felt like I needed to watch it. But, I mean, going in, you knew this is not going to be a pleasant experience. You might get done with it and appreciate it, but it's not going. It's kind of that year's version of Boyhood that we always talk about. It was, hey, this is going to punch you a little bit for the course of about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, if someone put Boyhood in front of me, and you want to torture me, make me watch Boyhood in a room with a snake. That would be torture.
You hate that movie.
And then throw some banana smell in there while you're at it. I mean, just you want to get me, that would do it. Yeah, that movie.
Neil's hell is him in a theater seat with people talking around him and everyone trying to get his attention to talk sports. Boyhood is on, and all he has to drink is a banana milkshake.
That would be awful. I would just, I would think really bad thoughts in that moment. Hey, real quick before we close up, let me tell you that it starts. Today's Tuesday. It starts tomorrow, January the 30th at 10 a.m. If you are looking for a great place to make your home base for the 2019 football season, Home 2 Suites Oxford just opened. Beautiful facility in a part of town that is really growing. I mean, fast. 10 a.m. on January the 30th. You can call, and it's 662-238-3400. And make sure get your reservations. You can also go to the website, but call the number and tell them, do us a favor, tell them that you heard about it here on the podcast. And while you're on the phone with them, if you're coming up for double-decker weekend, and I know a lot of you will, I think there's a baseball weekend that weekend, Chase, but I'm not positive. Double-decker weekend is they still have some availability, so check that out. And then we've been telling you about Dead Soxy for a while. Dead Soxy they're working on a new product, new opportunities for you, the Rebel Grove community, to be a part of the creation of new sock concepts. There's still limited availabilities of the Mississippi sock line, and in an effort to launch a new line, they're increasing the discount to 30% off all items. So as the original Mississippi line comes to a conclusion, don't miss your opportunity to feel the difference a quality sock makes. It's really a fantastic product. I've had so many people say, yeah, man, that I put that sock on, and it is different, and it is absolutely different. So for those of you who've tried them with a single pair or a couple pairs, this is a real good opportunity for you to round out your week's worth. And if you haven't tried, now's a good time. Go to deadsoxy.com, DEADSOXY. Enter the code Rebel Grove at checkout for 30% off of everything.
Nothing really Ole Miss really to talk about today, but I will tell you, Resume got a secondhand boost last night as the Baylor Bears, a team that Ole Miss did beat in Destin, they moved to 14-6 on the season with a 77-47 win over Oklahoma in Norman. Just pounded the Sooners last night on the road. So huge win for Baylor, probably in an indirect way helps Ole Miss's resume a little bit as well. We'll delve into that more tomorrow, but that is something that has happened. A little more of a basketball show tomorrow, obviously with Ole Miss in Florida tomorrow night from Gainesville. So we'll talk to you then.